Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that happens in pretty much all of our closest relationships. That incredibly fine line between really caring for someone and, well, actually trying to control them. You know the feeling, right? You see someone you love and you think they're making a mistake. Maybe it's their outfit or a big life decision. You jump in with some helpful advice and bam! Suddenly you're in the middle of a huge argument. Why does that keep happening? Let's get into it. The source material we're digging into today offers a really fascinating way to think about this problem. It uses two Korean concepts that perfectly capture the two very different sides of giving advice. And honestly, just understanding the difference is the first step to changing everything. And here's the thing. We cross this boundary all the time, and usually with the best of intentions. We genuinely just want to help. But it's our delivery, our assumptions, and, well, our lack of respect for their freedom to choose that can turn our concern into a weapon, and it just pushes people away instead of bringing them closer. Okay, so here are the two core ideas we're talking about. On the left, you've got 관심, which translates to interest. This is the good stuff, right? It's based on real discussion and respect. But on the right, you have concept, or interference. And that's when we just inject our own judgments, assuming we know what's best. One builds relationships up, the other just tears them down. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a perfect everyday example of how easily we can slide from that healthy interest right into harmful interference. Okay, just imagine saying this to someone you care about their makeup. It's so blunt, it's so judgmental, and even if you think you're helping them avoid some kind of fashion disaster, the message you're really sending is, your choice is wrong and I know better. That is pure 100% interference. And just look at the damage a comment like that does. It's not a conversation, it's a verdict. It completely dismisses the other person's ability to choose for themselves. And a lot of the time, this kind of comment actually comes from our own frustrations. We use our advice to feel a little bit superior, even if we don't realize that's what we're doing. All right, so if that's the wrong way to go about it, what's the right way? How do we show that we care without kicking off a massive fight? Well, the key is a third concept, one that kind of acts as a bridge back to connection. And that bridge is 위난, which is all about discussion. You can think of it as the active ingredient of healthy interest. See, it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's about creating a real dialogue that actually respects the other person's feelings and their right to choose for themselves. Let's replay that whole makeup scenario, but this time using this healthier approach. First, instead of dropping a judgment, you start with some gentle curiosity. Then you can share information, but as an equal, not as a know-it-all. And here's the most important part. You empower their choice. You offer an alternative, but the final decision is totally theirs. No pressure, no judgment. Okay, so this is all great for avoiding fights in the future, but what about the damage that's already been done? What happens when you suddenly realize that you've been the one interfering all along? This brings us to what might be the most powerful insight for actually healing a relationship. So let's say you have that light bulb moment. You suddenly see how your help has actually been hurting someone you love. You want to fix it, right? But the idea of a big, awkward apology just feels impossible. Well, the good news is you don't actually have to start there. The most crucial concept here is 아는 것. It literally translates to the act of knowing. It's that quiet, internal realization that you were wrong. It's not a big confession. It's not an apology to anyone else. It's just a moment of clarity inside your own head. And this is where all true change really begins. Now, I know this might sound a little strange. How can a relationship possibly heal without an apology? Well, it's because this internal shift is actually way more powerful than words, at least at first. This quote just nails it. Forcing an apology when you're not ready or when the other person isn't ready to hear it can just feel so hollow and fake. But the moment you know, the moment you truly get it, the healing process has already started, because that knowledge will, without a doubt, start changing your behavior. So here's kind of how that process unfolds over time. On day one, you have that realization. Then over the next few weeks, maybe even months, that new knowledge starts to subtly change how you act. You become more patient, you listen more, you stop interfering. And then eventually, the right moment for a real apology will just show up. It'll feel natural and easy, not forced. And here's the magic of it all. The other person feels this shift long before you ever say a word. Your changed actions become a kind of living apology. They see you trying. They feel your respect for them returning. And that unspoken effort is what starts to mend the trust that was broken. So, why is this approach just so effective? Well, for one, it lets you get around that ego and pride that makes saying I'm sorry so incredibly hard. It lets your habits change organically, from the inside out. And that creates the safe space needed for that connection to start growing again. Because at the end of the day, true change is proven through your actions, not just your words. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. Is there a recurring fight or a strange relationship in your life that you've been trying to fix with words and arguments? What you think might happen if, instead, you started with the simple, silent, and incredibly powerful act of just knowing.